Welcome back to Sportsbeat, and we are back for part 2 with Bob Casullo. Hello again.
Hello. Good to be back.
Good to be back. We didn't go far.
No.
We were just talking about fish that we could fry, and
Yep.
good times.
Go to Seattle. They have the best seafood in the country, and they have the best coffee in the country. If you're a coffee freak like me,
Seattle's best really is a true story.
Seattle's best is the best coffee. Now they have Starbucks, they have Tully's, they have I don't know. I'm losing my track of mine on the top two, but Seattle's best is the best. If you ever have an opportunity, go on Amazon, buy Seattle's best dark roast. It's the best coffee there is.
Never going back.
Never going back.
Never going back. So we'll jump to Seattle for a second. In the last interview you talked about, and in the previous episode you were talking about too, is just some of the toxicity that's around front office kind of stuff. What do you think needs to happen for the NFL to get back to its glory days overall?
Well, they've turned it. It's in my estimation, in my opinion, and I'm just a wart on the bottom of life. Okay, it's now a business.
Yeah.
It's a business. It's not a sport.
Right.
It's run by the front offices. General managers are no longer football people. General managers are business people that answer to the owners.
Right.
I lived it. Trust me. And I'm not going to mention names. Because I was at places where we'd still be there. We'd still be winning if they would have just left us alone. Okay. But it's a business. Front offices, like I said, they're an extension of the owner, and they answer to the owner.
Right.
And the head coach really, there will never be another New England Patriot dynasty. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you, because it's run by Bill Belichick, a football guy, a brilliant football guy, top to bottom. When he's done, the New England Patriots are done.
Wow.
Okay, and there will never be another dynasty like that because there are no more Bill Belichicks. Not that there's not good football coaches.
Right.
They're not being allowed to run the show. Bill Parcells said it best. He says, how do you expect me to cook the meal if I can't buy the groceries?
Right.
Bill Belichick has total control. And basically what Kraft does is he tells him how much, here's what you got. You do it the way you want.
Yeah.
Okay? And he doesn't interfere with the football, and he rides on the floats through all the championship. That's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Never going to happen again.
In a rare
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to keep my train of thought here. And I love John Gruden. You guys know I've worked for John at Oakland. I worked for John in Tampa. And John's out there in Oakland now with Mike Mayock as GM. I hate to say this because I love the guy. It ain't going to work. John's a football guy.
Yeah.
He's a football guy. The NFL is a business. When John got out of it, I think he knew what and why he was getting out of it for.
Right.
I think he saw what was going to happen, and it probably did. But he's a coach.
Yeah.
He lives, sleeps, breathes coaching, and he was offered an opportunity to come back. And I really think if you had a chance to get John, in a one-on-one and say, hey, John, what do you think? I'd be shocked if he didn't say, what did I do? It's not the same. Yeah. It's not John. John's the same guy.
Yeah.
John Gruden's the same guy. He's a football coach.
Yeah.
I love working for him. He's a football coach. Now, he had good days and bad days like everybody else.
Who doesn't?
But he's a football coach.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, geez, do I have to play this kid because they're paying him? Do I have to not play this kid because we're going to release? That all comes into play now. And then in those days, it was you played to win.
Right.
Al Davis, just win.
Right.
Okay. And that's why when I say I don't know if John Gruden is going to be successful, it's not because John Gruden forgot how to coach. Trust me, he knows how to coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But there's so many outside factors.
Yeah.
Okay. That he doesn't have control over.
Yeah.
And it's.
And now they're in Vegas, which is the center.
That's where Al Davis always wanted to go.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. He always wanted to go there. But the NFL hated Al Davis, and if he was smart, he would have said, "I want to stay in Oakland," and they might have said, "No, you're going to Las Vegas."
A nice little bait and switch.
They hated him. They hated him, and sure enough, afterwards, he's gone. Where's the Raiders? In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But it's just going back to my conversation with Mike Westhoff, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. You've got, in my opinion, the coaches are stuck in the middle. You got the administrators, the administration, the front office that's reporting to the owners, and you got the players that now are doing their union things, their things, different things than they used to emphasize before.
Sure.
And you got a group of coaches in the middle that are just trying to coach football and win games. That's all they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy from the Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
In 2 years, did he become a bad coach?
No.
Please.
No. Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
But he deals with all the injuries he can't control. He's dealing with the people that are like, and you know what blows my mind is I could, and granted, I'm younger here, but I, as a 30-year-old, 31-year-old now, would never have ever imagined players saying, well, I'm just going to sit out. I can't I still, when I hear that and say, I'm going to sit out, not injured, just I'm going to sit out for contract negotiation. Please
go
stop.
back to the Yankees.
Oh yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
He's a DH. He was out for 10 days, comes back, plays 4 games, does pretty well. They rest him for 2. He hasn't hit the ball since he come back.
Yeah.
What do you rest him? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was listening the other day. I don't know where I was driving, but I had one of these talk shows on, and they happened Cal Ripken. And I know it was the Lou Gehrig day, and then they had Cal Ripken on, who broke Lou Gehrig's record.
Right.
And they said, Cal, do you think? And he kind of chuckled and laughed. He goes, all records are made to be. He was trying to be politically correct and nice. And finally, the guy that was interviewing him said, Cal, will your record ever be? No.
Got it.
You can't.
Right.
You can't. They don't play enough.
Yeah.
They don't. Are you kidding? I mean, and again, I don't watch basketball, but I read all this stuff about LeBron James is down writhing in pain like a soccer player, and he twisted his ankle. And did you watch that hockey game? The hit on that guy last night?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
They better suspend that guy
Yeah.
for the rest of the playoffs. That was brutal.
Yeah, when you have to carry somebody off on a stretcher.
But did you see the hit?
No, I missed it.
I mean,
I saw it on replays.
Yeah,
He literally ramrodded him and elbowed him in the head.
Yeah,
the guy did a flip in midair and landed head first. So he was out before he hit the ice.
Yeah.
And then re-hit his head on the ice. He was double out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was wow.
That was like UFC style TKO.
Yes, that was bad. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. But
we're
That's
we're into hockey already. All right, we're doing good
Where's
here.
Scott? Scott's gonna pop out.
Yeah. What do you think of the Sabres? No, just go. That's
talk about players quitting.
Yeah.
Talk about a sad organization.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. That my best man in our wedding, one of my best friends from college lives in Buffalo. And when we were in college at Brockport, his mother won season tickets to the Buffalo Sabres. We used to drive to the Buffalo, the old Aud.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were ever there. You weren't. You're
No.
too young.
Know about it though.
Okay. We would go to the old Aud.
Did you notice how he pointed to you and said you were too young?
Yeah.
I missed that.
I'm being targeted. It's okay. He gets a pass.
And if you remember the French Connection, they were dynamite, right? And they actually lost every year to the Canadians when they had that Dryden as the goalie, and they had those phenomenal Canadian teams, and Buffalo could never beat them. Buffalo players this year, I talked to my buddy Gary. He says, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
He said, half the time they don't have a full bench. Players just, like you said, I'm hurt. I don't want to play. I'm out tonight. That organization needs to be flushed.
And jumping back into football, one of the things that blow my mind, and it's kind of selfish from a fantasy aspect because I had him on my team, but I remember when Antonio Brown was on Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's had a hard, fast rule forever. They will not negotiate with you in your contract until you are in the final year of your contract. And he said, no, I want more. And they set him out. And I mean, it hurt my fantasy team in one of the leagues I'm in for a couple weeks till he figured out what he was going to do. But I can't imagine if you're there to play, you're there to play. And I really wish, and this is coming from me as younger, I wish the love of the game would come back.
Well, there are things that I believe the players are not heard enough from. The players play the game.
Sure.
And I always, when I was coaching in the NFL for 10 years, they always had the bargaining agreements.
Yep.
And I would always say, when it's up, you guys need to really get together, put your heads together and look at it, because you run the show.
Sure.
There's never going to be a 1984 where they had the replacement players. That's never going to happen again. Ever. Never. Because it was a complete failure. It was a disgrace. Okay. So if you're the Players Association, all right, and you're going to negotiate and you have a list of 10 items and you rank them by priority, and you want to make sure you get the top 5, and then you want to work with them on the bottom 5, okay, or you're not going to play. Because if you don't play, they ain't playing.
Right.
They ain't getting any money.
No.
Because they're not doing that replacement crap again. Now, there has to be there has to be a given, and I'm simplifying a very complex issue.
Sure.
Okay. But believe me, hey, truck drivers go on strike. You don't have any. The economy is shut down. If the union truck drivers say we ain't working under these conditions, commerce is done.
Sure.
You're not getting any products. So my point is, you can negotiate in good faith, but you can negotiate fairly if you have a game plan on what you want, and of course it all comes down to the almighty dollar.
Sure it does.
And I always get, and then it's like, and I don't want to get into politics, but it's like the diversionary tactics, CTE.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to an NFL football game and stand on the sidelines?
No.
There's going to be injuries.
Yeah.
Trust me, guys. These players are professionals. They play only one speed.
Go.
Warp speed, full speed. And you're going to try to teach them not to lead with their helmet. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. There are times, there's many times you have to be able to discern between deliberately leading with the helmet,
right,
and you're going in to make a tackle and the running back dips his shoulder,
right,
and you have a helmet to helmet. There's difference.
You know it when you see it too.
Yeah. You know it when you see it. And with replay now, you know it when you see it. And they say the intent. Well, there's no way you get in anybody's head and know the intent. But you can see if the guy's going in low to make a tackle and all of a sudden the ball carrier lowers himself, okay, there's the initial intent was the right intent,
right,
by the tackler. And then the offensive player, and then you have the guys like Tony Gonzalez one time on national TV, when he got into the broadcasting business, he said, I'd rather they hit me in the head than hit me low in the knees.
Yep.
He said, because if I can't run, I can't play.
Right.
He says, now I don't want to get a concussion. He goes, but I can come back from a concussion. I can't come back from a knee injury till the following year. And then they might not, if my contract is up or if I'm in a negotiate, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. So there's a lot of ramifications in a lot of aspects, but to me, that's diversionary tactic.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about monies. We're not going to talk about this. And believe me, when the NFL wants something,
they get it.
How about the 17-game schedule? Did they ramrod that through? And guess what?
Yeah.
Within 2 years, it'll be 18 games. And how many more players did they add to the roster?
Right.
0.
Yep.
0. And the players are saying, wait a minute, I don't know how they're going to do it. These players can't do it. You can't have one open week in the NFL and play 17 games. And if you make the playoffs, you're going to play 3 more. You're going to play 20.
Right.
You can't, the body can't do it. And then they go out and they have 5-year initial contract is 5 years. The New England Patriots, it's 6.
Yeah.
Well, my God, if you're playing like you're supposed to be playing,
yeah,
you got a 50-50 chance at best of getting to the 5th year.
And it blows my mind too, thinking about like some of the longevities, like you see. I mean, I know Drew Brees just hung it up this year, but the longevity of him in the game and just the evolution, and Tom Brady, the evolution of the game from when he started to where it is. I don't know how of any of them are, especially Brady, how the hell he's still in the game blows my mind.
Well, they do a good job. And when New England stopped catering to the offensive linemen and they actually broke down.
Yep.
Brady says, screw you, I'm out of here.
Right.
And he went to Tampa that already had the offense in place. They just didn't have the general.
Yep.
And now they got the general. You do know that they signed all 22 players plus the 2 kickers, the 3 specialists. They re-signed all 25 players. They didn't lose 1 starter.
So they got the same team going in next year.
Unheard of.
Wow.
Now, I don't think they're going to be as good because and this goes back to the coaching aspect, but Bruce Arians and his guys are good coaches too. But let me tell you something: the coaches in the NFL are sharp people, and if you think they're going through film study of the New York Jets, no, they're going through film study of the Tampa Bay.
Is there any film on the Jets? Did anybody take any pictures of that or what?
It's I have so much respect for the coaches, and I just feel so bad for them because they're in the middle between the players and the front offices.
The proverbial rock and a hard place.
Yeah, they just, and these guys are good. They're good people. They're good coaches. And again, I go back to Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
He won a Super, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
He's out of a job.
Yeah.
Come on, people. Come on, will you? Yeah.
And then people are offering him, assistant coordinator for this. And I'm thinking somebody of his caliber. And
he needs to take a year off and just get his brain, unscramble his brain, get it back, and he'll be back in.
And today, do you think it would be better to be a NFL coach or a college coach, or do you think it's a double-edged sword no matter where you are?
Well, I would always prefer NFL over college because there's so many outside football things that a head coach in college has to be responsible for.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you are responsible. They tell you your job is to coach football.
Sure.
That's not the problem.
Right.
They let you coach.
Sure.
The problem is they make all the decisions on personnel
Yeah.
and monies and, how it's going to be spent, how the players are that you're going to bring in. But they let you coach. You just don't know who you're going to coach. I take that back. You're not going to have the players you want to coach what you want. Okay.
Right.
Now in college, a head football coach, you got academics, you got recruiting, you got the administration, you got to answer to, you got to be politically correct. I mean, there's so many factors other than coaching. The best time of the day for a college coach is 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock because you're coaching on the field.
Practice.
Or you could say from 2 to 6 because you're doing meetings and then you're practicing on the field. That's the best time of the day.
Right.
Because the rest of the time you got recruiting calls, and the head coach calls you and said, hey, Bob, you're starting tight end. He skipped class today. What do you want me to do? Now you don't say that.
You got to be babysitter more than
you don't say that, but you sit there and you're going, you got to be kidding me. What does he possibly want me to do?
Go track him down.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Why weren't you in class today?
Yeah.
And they're going to give you some cock and bull story.
Sure.
And then you're going to say, they're lying. They know you're lying, and then you got to go back to the head coach and lie to him. So I mean, I wouldn't do college coaching again for all the team, and they're making good money, but it's not the same. They're not getting time off. They got all these camps, and they got weekend recruiting things, and pro football used to be fun.
Yeah, because
in the off season, if you had to work a full day on Friday in the off season, you were working for an ass. Okay, because most of the time you didn't work on Fridays. You finished at Thursday nights and you went home and you came back Monday morning. Now they're working all the time.
I think at college, though,
college, you forget about it now.
Saban, he won the national championship. What are you doing? He goes, well, I'm going to take the day off with my family and everything. Yeah. We're going to go back home. And then on Monday, I've got recruiting. Yeah. And I can't imagine that grind constantly.
And I talk to my buddies, and one guy I'm really close to, and I talk to him all the time, and he makes great money. He makes more money than I ever thought you could ever pay a college coach as an assistant, right? And he says, I just got to hang in there a few more years. He says, I'm making this much money, and if I can get to 55 or 58, I think 58, if I could get 3 more years at this money, I'm done. I said, how much money do you need? But he likes what he's doing, but it's getting out of control. He during COVID, I said, what did you guys do? He said, you'd have gone nuts, because we work together, and he knows. The worst thing I hate wasting time. Sure. I hate practice coaching. I hate practice being a coach. I hate when they make you got to be busy.
Yeah.
Busy. Somebody's got a light on in the country. You got to have your light on and work longer than them. I hate that.
No.
Okay. He told me, he said, last year with COVID, he said, it was unbelievable. He said, it was awful. You were finding things to do. He said, and coaches were coming up with these things because they had to justify your pay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, they couldn't send you home. You're making so much money,
Right.
but it's different.
Because I think as somebody you talked about in the interview with Travis is Herm Edwards, and he was at the Jets and now he's over in Arizona, and I can't,
Arizona State.
yeah, and I can't imagine making that jump down.
For him,
Yeah,
it's excellent. He's a player's coach.
I love listening to him when he would be on First Take. He would take Skip Bayless out to the woodshed, and he's got one of my favorite quotes. Character like good soup is made at home. I've got it written down. It's right over my desk, and I just loved watching him. But
Herm ran the locker room. You guys coach. You guys coach. You coach. I'll take care of this. And he was down in the locker room. And he was good. I understand when he went to Kansas City, he changed. And he was different, and different in a bad way. And I wasn't there, so I can't verify it, but he wasn't as successful at Kansas City as he was with the Jets. And the Jets should have never let him go. But that organization is messed up then, was messed up before, is messed up now, and will be messed up tomorrow. So, you know.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't put any money on them to be winning a division title.
First of all,
Here we go.
You had all these chances. You had the quarterback. You don't need the quarterback. You had the quarterback.
Right.
You don't have the parts. So what did you do? You traded some of the parts to get a quarterback that you let go. I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
They could have had 12 draft picks. I think 7 in the first 3 or 4 rounds. You can get a lot of football players at that expense. A lot of them.
And looking at like what Miami did, you know, they've had but the way they handled their draft this year was
best
brilliant.
run organization right now, in my opinion, other than New England, because I'm down there. But what Flores and Greer are doing down there, they're building a team.
Yeah.
And the media wants them to get rid of Tua. Why? Tell me why. They want to get Russell Wilson. You think Pete Carroll got to be to where he is by being stupid?
Not a chance in hell.
Come on. And I'm not a Pete Carroll fan, but he didn't get to be Pete Carroll by being stupid.
And let's be honest, Russell Wilson's not leaving Seattle anytime soon.
No. And you know, it's
but no, watching the way
amazing what you hear and what you read. That's why I don't watch it, because I break my TVs every week. It's terrible.
Well, they're not reporting news.
No,
like ESPN, it's media.
Yeah, they're making things up, and they're stupid things.
Well, that's because that sells.
To who? I want to meet these people.
Well, there's idiots who look at that and
I know
they tune in.
Because I see who's running our government now and how they got in.
Controversy creates cash. So if there's no blood for them to sell, like Seattle, Russell Wilson can't stand Pete Carroll, and he comes on, he's like, we're talking negotiation. I want a little bit more. It's not as bad. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But watching the draft with Miami this year, they really
had
pulled it together, and it worked.
Yeah, they had a plan and it worked. Yeah.
Traded down a little bit there, got some more picks, and I mean they marketed more with more. I mean, I wish my Cowboys would have figured it out. Please don't judge me for that, for being a Cowboys fan.
Don't. I learned not to say that word.
That's all right.
I got away with saying the Texans.
The Cowboys are the NFL's version of Notre Dame.
I agree with that.
They're put on a pedestal for why?
The cheerleaders. Come on, Bob.
Okay.
I'm a Cowboy.
I've seen them up close and personal. Believe me, they're good.
I'm a Cowboys fan.
I have too. I'm with you.
I'm a Cowboys fan. I'll be first to tell you, when was the last time we actually did anything? And all my friends are like, oh, and I'm like, your dad and uncle, and now you, because you listen to them, are screaming, we're going to win the Super
division
Bowl.
Now. If you can't win that division now, give up.
Garbage.
Give up.
Absolute garbage.
Watch out for Washington.
Yeah.
And watch out for the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, watch out for those two teams. They're very close to being above respectable.
And until Jerry Jones figures out that
respectable.
Yeah, right. I caught it.
I like that.
But until he worries less about the jersey sale and more about the team, and then not only that, but you can't be he's not Bill Belichick, and I understand he owns a team and it's a different dynamic, but you can't be vice president, general manager, COO, person who's picking it, and then listen to your coaches and say, okay, well, we're not going to do what you tell me to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can. He can hate me all he wants, but
can I go now? Talking about the Cowboys is not on my list of things to do.
I've got you talk about switching quick. One of the things that is quintessential in football in the last decade was the tuck rule. What was
Oh no! You go from
I
one
know,
misery to another.
But
Go back to Cowboys.
I've got to ask, you were on the field when that happens. Do you think that the rules that they've made, and not going into the tuck rule, but using that as a starting point, that the NFL, not only with the paralysis by analysis, but the rule changes that they've made, it doesn't feel like old football to me. And this is me as a younger generation. It's still the game of football, but they've over legislated the rule book entirely. Do you think that we've gone over the edge in terms of being able to get back to somewhat of football at any point, or is it gone too far?
You're never going to go back.
Right.
You're never going to go back. I mean, you look at, I just look at, you're never going to go back.
Yeah.
You can't go back.
Yeah.
It don't work. It would be nice if somebody could take over a team and say, look, we're going to go to old fashioned football. We're going to put the quarterback under the center.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have two backs in the backfield. We're going to have a tight end. We're going to play smash mouth offensive football. We're going to have play. The closest thing to it was Mike Shanahan with his play action game, which his son in San Francisco does very well.
Right.
Which David Shaw at Stanford, a friend of mine, that's why Stanford wins, because Stanford doesn't have 1/10 the talent of those other teams in the big Pac-10.
Yeah.
But they beat them all.
Sure they do.
And they have play action, they have a run game, and they play good defense.
Yeah.
And that's the ticket. That's as old-fashioned football as you're going to get. You look at the two Super Bowls that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won, and I was on the losing end of one of them.
Right.
Everybody talks about Tom Brady and the offense. In those days, it was John Gruden, the offensive genius. Look at those two defenses.
Sure.
The defense in our Super Bowl in 2002-3, okay, was the number one defense in the NFL. They had 7 All-Pros on that defense. You look at Tampa Bay's defense this year, they were dynamic, in stopping third downs and first down losses, and
right.
all those analytical,
yeah.
All those metrics. Defense. You look at the New England Patriots, all the years they won, their defense was good.
Yeah.
It was good. And, it's still football. Don't turn the ball over, play defense, control the clock. And a lot of people, when I watch, Sean McVay was a young coach for us when I was at Tampa. He was like 21, 22 years old, sharp mind, brilliant mind. But he's coaching that team, and you watch him, and they're going for on 4th and 1, they're punting. On 4th and 10, they're going for it. On 3rd and 1, they're throwing vertical balls down the field. What are you doing?
Right.
You talk about analytics, and 3rd and 1, if you run the ball off tackle on 3rd and 1 10 times, you're going to make it 7. Okay. If you throw the ball vertically down the field, you know how many times you complete a fly pattern in the NFL? 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
1 out of 10.
And it's going to end up on SportsCenter because it's
the one that they catch is going to end up on sports. But it's so getting back to old time football. No, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, that had never happened again. But the premises: play good defense. Mm-hmm. You got to have a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Forget everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to have a quarterback. You got to play good defense. You got to control the clock. Okay, you got to do that. You got to have good special teams because field position critical. In the NFL is critical. That's my biggest complaint about college football, watching Saturday football from 12 noon to 12 midnight. These guys don't have a clue. They don't personally care about field position. They don't give a darn about it.
Yeah.
And then when they talk about these college coaches going to the NFL, I say, you can't. That's why you don't see many college coaches going to the NFL.
Yeah.
They're too footloose and fancy free. The NFL 3 downs is it's hard.
Right.
It's hard. And you know what? Finishing a series with a kick in the NFL is not bad. In college, it's almost non-existent.
Right.
And it's like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? You'd like to be I just like to sit up in the press box with a headphone to the head coach and just manage the game for him.
Right. Just
help him manage the game, because a lot of the games are lost rather than won.
I can't think of how many times they're down and it's, they're inside the red zone someplace, but it's it's 3rd and 7 and they're passing the ball or something. You kick the chip shot, take 3 points.
How about being inside the 5-yard line and throwing the fade pass?
Yeah.
The quarterback takes the ball and lobs it to the right corner or the left corner of the end zone to help the guy out. 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's the percentage of success.
And on the flip side of kicking, what's the percentage of putting it through the upright at that distance?
And I always tell my sons, they're both high school coaches, put points on the board.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then at the end of the game, add it all up and hope you got one more. Because if you don't have any points, and I tell them this, if you play good defense, if they can't score, they can't win. If they can't score, they can't win. And if you can put points on the board at the end of the game, you'll probably have one more than them.
Want to hit one more topic while you're here is something you mentioned last time is just sticking with college for a second. The student athlete debacle that's unfolding in the.
You mean the athlete student?
Yeah, the athlete student. We're going to see, and now they're involved in the court cases, and they're talking the unions with the NCAA and possibly paying players and everything. I'm a college football fan now more than I think I am the NFL, just with some of the other stuff that's going on. And that scares the hell out of me for what it's going to look like on Saturday. Cause I'm just like you. It's, college game day, wake up, start watching, make sure everything's going. I got 3 TVs ready to rock and roll, and we're watching games from sun up to sundown. That really scares the hell out of me, what it's going to look like in 3-5 years if they actually get to the point where they're playing. Because now I got to believe the NFL is just watching this somewhat salivating because more money to be made. It scares the hell out of me.
Well, that's the key word, money. It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how you're going to prevent it, because sooner or later the players are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And really, I have sympathy with the college athletes.
Sure.
I really do. Okay. Because these universities are making bundles of money.
Oh, yeah.
Boatloads of money on the athletes.
Sure they are.
And the athletes are getting nothing. And now, of course, your people are going to say, well, they're getting their education paid for. They ain't there to get an education.
Right.
They're there to make the university money.
Right.
That's what they're there. Let's call it like it is.
I agree.
Let's not, I love when these athletic directors and they get up there and they're our student athletes, the student athlete, this student, you're right away turns me off.
Yeah. You're
full of baloney. Okay. You're full of it. You're echoing what the administration wants you to say.
Talking points.
Yeah. Say it like it is. Right? Our athletes perform. We win. We make the university a lot of money. We bring people in. We make the fans happy. We make the people happy. And our name is out there. We're on the top 20. We're in the paper. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
The student athlete. And I'm not saying these athletes are not students. I'm not saying they're stupid. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But they're making a choice. The number one professor in the United States of America for placing students into high-paying professional jobs, John Calipari at Kentucky.
Really?
How many players does he have in the NBA making mega millions of dollars?
That's a good point. I mean, what, two years consecutively, everybody on his bench went in.
Everybody.
That's I never even looked at it that way.
He's the greatest professor in college history for placing students into their chosen field of profession, making money, being successful.
Lots of it too.
Why? What? I don't care what you say about the guy. You go to Kentucky, you got a better than 50-50 chance of making a good living in the NBA. If you're good enough to play for Kentucky, you're good enough to play in the NBA, and that means you're going to make a lot of money. Now, you could go to University of Kentucky and be a business major with 8,000 other business majors.
Yeah.
Go on and get a job, probably make $50,000 a year to start. They're making that a game. If you get the job.
Right.
You got to get the job, because if they're graduating 2,000 business majors at Kentucky and there's 5,000 universities in the country, multiply 2,000 times 5,000, it's a plethora of business majors.
Right.
But a Kentucky basketball player is going to make money.
And and one of your references is a coach who's worth it.
Yeah.
You're going.
Whatever they pay him, it ain't enough.
You think they figure it out, or do you think they break off and go to that D League kind of stuff that they're talking about?
Why would you? You got a free pass. College football, Pro football, you think they're ever going to have a spring league? You think they're ever going to sponsor another league? They got 400 college football teams to choose from. Same thing with basketball. Why would they do that? I mean, if they do it, if you want to have a farm system like baseball,
right.
I don't have a problem with that. G League, D League, whatever you want to call it.
But the XFL, like,
No,
and then The
you don't
Rock
need
just
that.
bought it. It's never going to.
You don't need that. You don't need that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time and insight. You've got a wealth of it, and feel free to come back at any time. Talk
All the
football with
opinions
us.
you heard are strictly mine.
Disclaimer.
No disclaimer.
So, and we'll have to have you back during football to give us some of your thoughts on everything going on there. Hopefully, you last time you were here, you said you were fairly confident the NFL was going to have a season. So, any bold predictions of what this season's going to look like coming up?
I don't know if it's a bold prediction, but I'm going to be anxious to see a 17-game season with one open date.
Yeah.
How they're going to healthy players are going to survive,
Especially if you got a bye week, week 4
and
5.
I didn't see them increase the developmental squad. They didn't even do that. I think there's 8 players. I think you have 61 total players on your roster, of which 8 are developmental squad. And you're playing in demolition derby every Sunday. There's no way.
Those teams that have the bye week early on in the season could be hurting.
Or how about the one that's got it the 11th week of the season?
Yeah, you got to get there.
You got to get there.
Yeah.
You got to survive to get there. And then what do you do during the bye week?
Yeah. Heal.
Well, the players are going to want to go home and be with their families.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, well, wait a minute now. We got a free week to put you in the hot tub, to put you in the ice bath, to get our trainers and doctors to work on you, to get you back up. Wait a minute. I want to go home with my family.
Yeah.
It's a spider web. There's so many things. First of all, if you go to an 18-game schedule, okay, my opinion, you break it down into 3 6-week segments. So you play 6 games, everybody's off. You play 6 games, everybody's off.
Yeah.
You play 6 games. Everybody's off. You do the playoffs. The NFL wants to move the Super Bowl to March 1st. There's your answer.
Oh,
You start right after Labor Day.
Yeah.
You go 6 weeks,
Break.
Shut it down for a week. You go 6 weeks, shut it down for a week. 6 weeks, season's over, shut it down. You don't have to start the playoffs the next week. Shut it down for a week. Start the playoffs. 4 weeks later, you have the Super Bowl, you're done. You got September, October, November, December, January, February. 6 months of the year, the NFL is on making money.
And even the week that they're off, they're going to own the airspace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, the television is going to be paying you the money.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to say, well, we're not paying you for the week off. No, it's a bundle thing. It's billions of dollars. Here it is.
They've already added the games.
They've already got it.
Yeah.
They've already got it. It's in the bank. Anyway.
I wish I had their problems. Well, thank you again. Appreciate your
Glad to
time
be
here.
here.
Glad you're in Little Falls. And we will join you all back here next week.